Mhm. Hey guys, none of you are here yet, so I'm going to yak for a few minutes. Um, it's a Saturday night, and I do have somebody. A Saturday night, and here I am whimpering, singing. Hey, I'm Suzanne Titkemeyer of No Longer Quivering, now just of myself. Tonight, I've seen, well, actually, it's been all day and part of yesterday. I saw the speculation on Katie Joy's vaccination. Let's all get vaccinated. I am all in favor of that. They have reapproved the Johnson and Johnson in limited usage. I believe that's the one I'm going to take. I don't care if it does give younger women blood clots. I am not a younger woman. I have a bleeding disorder that means I tend to ooze like Dracula's pincushion. You poke me and I bleed. So there's been all this speculation about Katie Joy and her getting her vaccination, why she didn't get it when she was first offered it, why she seemed to think an hour was too far to drive or 2 hours or whatever it was, and her finally breaking down and getting it at Walgreens. I think it was today. Today. At least today, she posted a picture of her COVID shot card. She got the first injection. May I urge you to all get vaccinated if you can. Now, I realize there are people that can't be vaccinated for any number of reasons. Even I, with my crazy health, I get vaccinated. I get vaccinated for a lot of things. I got the Prevnar 13 like 18 months ago. I always get flu shots. Um, I got the first of the two shingles injections and went into anaphylaxis. So I didn't take the second one. I ended up in the hospital instead with low blood pressure and pounding heart, the whole 9 yards. So I'm not going to shame anybody for getting vaccinations. I'm glad she did. That shows some responsibility. Apparently, her husband got his before. I'm guessing he got it when they first offered it to them as the parents of a chronically ill child. They should have been in line to get one first. Well, maybe not first, but damn close to first. Right behind the very old people in the nursing homes. Um, Anybody with chronic illnesses, or they take care of anybody with chronic illnesses, really should have gotten theirs quickly. And I know that there were some problems in some areas with vaccination rollouts. I'm sorry, the hair is driving me crazy because I have it kind of halfway up tonight instead of down like usual. I wanted to talk a little bit about that. I'm not going to shame Katie for getting the vaccination. I think that was a responsible thing to do. Like I said, I'm planning on getting it as soon as I can. I tried when I was in the States. I worked the phones. I couldn't find anybody that had it that would allow me to be vaccinated. So there's that. So I haven't been vaccinated yet. And as I mentioned last week, it has gotten kind of gnarly here in Tamarindo. We had a school that had to go to all online because there was an outbreak at the school. I know people that are right now that have it. I know a guy who's on the ventilators right now. He got it. It was diagnosed on a Tuesday. By Saturday, he was on a vent. So this is one of those crazy things. One of the things that Katie was saying today, or maybe it was even last night, I don't know. I don't really keep up with her. Somebody spams me a lot of stuff like today. I'll see it and maybe I'll comment on it. Maybe I'll do a video. She talked about she was sure that Vaughn and her, I shouldn't even say his name, I'm sorry, her child and her had what she thinks was COVID in January. She described that she had coughing and runny nose and all this stuff, said her hair fell out by the handful and she got gray hairs. Well, I haven't heard anything about hair falling out being a symptom of COVID or it turning gray. But stress will do both of those for you. I just had to take a real quick look at these claims that she had. I'm sorry, Jim, you better have clothes on. You have clothes on, good.
Oh, yeah. Do you charge
I'll charge your phone, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my husband. So I started looking at the numbers. She said that they got in January. They thought they had a bad cold and had runny nose and the whole 9 yards, coughing, all of that. And then she didn't know coughing was a symptom. I don't know how she could have not known coughing is a symptom. The CDC has been very, very, very upfront about what the symptoms are of this thing. Even Trump was upfront about it. Um, so it was everywhere. Here, I've seen posters describing it over and over, Spanish on one side and English on the other. I don't know why the information just doesn't get out to anybody. But anyway, she said she had it, that they had it in January. Well, I took a look at the numbers for their area. Do you know that Minnesota didn't even really have much in the way of numbers or even start tracking it much before April 2020? So the fact that they're in this community, this Midwestern community where the spread didn't happen quite as fast, it wasn't right away. I was worried about it. I believe I probably had it in February, but let me walk you through my reasons why I think I had it. I had a relative come visit me in mid February. They had been sick as a dog and were coughing the whole 9 yards, all the same symptoms as COVID, right down to no taste and no smell. And she was taking a Z-Pack at the time. And she was just, dreadfully sick the whole time she was here. About 2 weeks after she left, which would have been towards the beginning of March, I came down with it. And I think there's a possibility it may have been COVID. She works in the greater DC area, which is an area where a lot of people are coming in and out, lots of international flights, lots of international people. She works for a place that has international people coming in and out. So I really feel like she had it, and she gave it to me. I was up in that bed for 5 or 6 days, sick, until I finally kicked it. But I could not taste and I could not smell. But to this day, I'm still not willing to stand there and say, oh, I had COVID. Because by the time the antibodies test got here, it was past that point where you could actually be tested and expect to show if you have antibodies or not. And she never got tested. Neither one of us did because it was barely on our radar. While she was here, one of the things we went and did was get her some masks because the masks were already sold out in the US. But it wasn't even on the radar here, so we were able to walk into the pharmacy and walk out with a box of them for very little. So Katie's making all these claims about having had COVID. But if you look at the numbers for her part of the world, it would have been impossible. Well, maybe not impossible, but very, 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 very unlikely, particularly since her son is chronically ill. He has a chronic illness. And whatever you may think about her, bad or good, I know she is a good enough mother that she does not take him hither and yon and expose him to a lot of things, which is important if you've got immune system issues. There's times I've had to stay away from places and not go places and stuff because my immune system was going haywire and I had no desire to catch something. There's certain things I just don't do. Crowds is one of them as a result. And that was even before this horrible thing happened, this pandemic. I don't know about you guys. I'm done with her, okay? I'm not going to blame her for, trying to protect her child. I think she should have gotten that shot when they first offered it to her, even if she had to drive an hour or two away. Shoot, I used to drive up to Baltimore 3 times a week for a while to get occupational therapy appointments, have those at Johns Hopkins Bayview, which, trust me, was close to a 3-hour ride from my house in Virginia. But at the time, I was a patient of the Johns Hopkins Allergy and Asthma Research Center. So They were teaching me how to breathe through an asthma attack, and it was the most helpful thing in the world. I don't think that driving that far is really that big a deal. I wouldn't think. But I don't know what her reasons were for delaying beyond that. I'm just thankful she did it. Now, her and her husband will both be safe to be around the child. They won't be bringing the illness home to him, hopefully. Because I would hate to hear that he got sick with this thing. This thing is like I said, this cuddle bug, as Jimmy Snow calls it, is particularly bad. And it scares me that we're having more and more new variants happening on this stupid thing all the time. And some of the variants are you're protected against with the vaccines and some aren't. We're just off the charts in a brave new world now. I kind of hope that this thing dies out now once everybody gets vaccinated. Hey, American Princess, I'm up late, I know, but I just had to say something because everybody was tearing Katie Joy a new corn shoot. And I wasn't willing to do that because she got vaccinated, which I thought was an awesome thing. Even if it took her some time to get to that place where she was going to be vaccinated in her mind. I just, I'm just glad she is. The scary thing, besides the fact that we're getting so many different variants on this thing, and that's not unusual because viruses, like bacteria, sometimes change and grow as time goes on and they start feeling some resistance to everything. We're having quite the outbreak here. We're having quite the outbreak here because we have a lot of people who've decided they're done with it. And Costa Rican government has decided that tourist dollars, let the tourist dollars flow, like let the spice flow in Dune. That's really what they're all about. Tourism is down here, but it needs to happen for economic reasons since the government here is not willing to do anything towards helping their citizens financially recover from this thing. There aren't any payments going out like there are in the US, none of that. It's just guys running around grabbing iguanas to make soup out of them. So there's that. I kind of thought that since we were here at the beach, we're a mile and a half from the beach in this house, that maybe we wouldn't have to deal with this at all. The numbers here until this last outbreak have been very small. It seems that it doesn't do well in sea breezes where you have the ocean air coming in all the time. They've already proven that the virus doesn't live very long on surfaces. And if you're not standing face to face and neither of you wearing a mask, both of you are wearing a mask, it's not very much of a risk. And I stand by that. I especially stand by that because 3-4 months ago, I don't even remember the exact date. I'd have to look it up. Getting old's a bitch. A friend of my husband's came down with it. And we had run into him on a Monday in the parking lot of the Maxipoli, which is a Walmart subsidiary. It's got Great Value brands all over it. So that's pretty cool. But there we were. He was in the parking lot. He had just taken his mask off. Jim and I walked over to him. I had my mask on because I don't get out of the car without my mask on. I'm paranoid. I don't catch this thing. So we walked over to him. Jim stood maybe 4 or 5 feet away. I was standing even farther because I had gotten a cart and I was holding on to my little cart, getting ready to go into the grocery store. And their rise in not just in Costa Rica, they went up from 300 to 600 down. We were at 1775 the other day. We had an all new high. So I was standing there with my little cart and I said, "Hey, how you doing?" Blah, blah, blah. And I went on. I didn't go very near him. My husband was standing near him and neither one of them were masked. I was masked. We did not contract it. I don't know how we didn't contract it, but we didn't. And he had a very bad case. This guy did. He didn't end up on life support or on a ventilator, but from my understanding, he's still having side effects from it. It's a guy we know from South Africa. It's an international community here. So it's not just Ticos and Gringos. It's Gringos from all over the world. So that guy had it. We had a couple in church that came down with it. And fortunately, that was a Sunday I skipped because somebody brought a dog to church and I immediately started wheezing because long dog hair is a trigger of mine, and I left. My husband was there. All I did was wave from a distance of probably 20 feet. So there was no exposure there. But there's been a ton of exposures. And last Sunday, the church was empty as a result because so many people had been exposed that were now quarantined. So there's that. Rates have gone up. Everybody has asked me why I think the rates went up from 3 to 6 quickly, because that happened about 2 weeks after the Costa Rica government insisted all of us fly back home and then fly back to reset our visas. It happened 2 weeks after that. So that is the fruit of them forcing us all out. It brought double COVID here. And then Semana Santa, they reopened everything. And last Easter, last Semana Santa, they had armed guards on the bridge, the Friendship of Korea, I think it's called, Amistad, the Amistad Bridge. Oh gosh, I'm sorry to see that. No, Noelle, it's not, it is not anything to be fooled with. It is serious. I have had friends pass away from this disease and known so many people that have been affected by it negatively. Told the story before of my family in the New Orleans area. One branch of my family, my uncle and his wife, one of them was exposed, and the next thing you know, everybody in the family had it, literally. One of the family members had worked at the refinery there, Norco, and he picked it up from his work partner, went home, told his wife about it. They made the choice to put the kids with the grandparents and to quarantine for the 14 days. They came down with it. The kids came down with it. Both sets of grandparents came down with it. One of them died. One of them needs a heart transplant, and the other one is having severe lung issues. I believe she's facing a lung transplant from everything they're telling me. So even if it doesn't kill you, and Noelle, I'm very sorry for your loss. If it doesn't kill you, it can leave you permanently disabled and in a position where you may need an organ that you may not be able to get because so many other people are needing the same organs, and you're battling against the other people on the transplant list who need transplants for other reasons. So it's just really a bad thing all the way around. And it strikes younger people too, and it does strike children. Like I said, that school in Tamarindo where they had to go all back to online learning again, it spread through the children first before it went through the teachers. And these things happen. I mean, I've been very interested in this. I was reading about the flu epidemic of 1918, just about the time this hit. And they're still digging up corpses and isolating that virus and trying to figure out what happened. And this one is not too dissimilar as far as the things it does to you and how quickly it can kill you. So there is that. I just keep telling everybody, I know everybody's tired of masking. I'm tired of it. And I'm used to masks before all this went down because my asthma would sometimes help. If I was in church and somebody walked in with a long-haired poodle, mask on, my N95, and keep on going because I would start wheezing otherwise. Well, I can't get a replacement for any of my N95s now. They just don't exist. And everybody's tired of masking. I get it, but we can't really stop now. We all need to mask, wash our hands, use hand sanitizer, stay 6 feet apart to people not in your household, and make sure that if you think you have it, you go get tested and you isolate yourself from the rest of your family. I think that's important too, that not too many people are talking about that. I mean, it's still likely to spread in your family, but I've seen some cases where it hasn't. I've been picking on Jim and telling him that if he came down with it, he's moving out to the cabina. Saying, well, if I come down with it, I'm moving out to the cabina. One of us is moving out. And I don't know what it will take for this to be over. Hey, JC. Yeah, all is well. All is well. I'm just ranting about KJ's claims that they had COVID in January when it wasn't even much in her state and they weren't even tracking it until April 2020. I went and looked it up on the state health department websites for Minnesota. That's one of the things that I think that she needs to work on. She needs to work on truthiness, and not just open her mouth. And it's fine to say, "Hey, I think I may have had it back then," but I wouldn't say that if I hadn't already looked at what the rates were in that area, or if you were in the Midwest, if you were exposed to someone who was coming from China or DC or New York or any of the bigger cities where this was a problem first, before I would just open my mouth and said, "Yeah, I had this. It was terrible. I got through it." Were you tested? No. Did you get tested for antibodies afterwards? Nope. Yeah, she started doing that American Princess today. She started, hey, Tiny Dancer, she started claiming today that both her and her son had it in January of 2020. While I'm not disputing they were sick, I'm disputing that it was COVID because of the fact that she does live in Minnesota. She lives a very isolated life. The state she lives in didn't even have that many cases before April. And they certainly did not have many, if any, back in January. I can't even, like I said, the closest I could find that they actually started counting the numbers was April. No, it is Saturday night. Saturday night here at 11:05. I'm up past my bedtime because I'm pondering over that. Plus, yesterday, oh my God, I slept so much yesterday because the asthma was so awful yesterday. And it was awful for the dumbest of reasons. It was awful for food allergies. I'm usually pretty good about staying away from the crap that makes me wheeze. I had been craving carrot cake and baked this big loaf of carrot bread. Now, it's not the same thing as carrot cake, and it wasn't very sweet. I made it not very sweet because I don't need sweet. And it made me start wheezing, but only after about the second or third slice. Before that, it was fine. I think it was the shredded up carrots. I didn't shred them myself like I normally would. I took the easy, lazy way, and I bought a bag of shredded carrots from one of the Costa Rican stores. It was processed through someplace, and it was obviously full of preservatives because I was reacting all over the place. I bake all the time. Well, not all the time. I bake frequently. We have banana bread a lot and pineapple bread and different whatever fruit we have left over. And I made the special effort to have the carrot bread to soothe my carrot cake desires. And I reacted to it. But as soon as I did, it's like, yeah, just about. As soon as I was reacting yesterday, it was like, push the H1 inhibitors, push this, push that, push it all in. And when it's that bad, I am in the bed. And that's what I did yesterday for the day. And a Tiny Dancer, I am trying to make a better pineapple bread recipe. I'm tempted to go into Tamarindo and talk to the baker at Breaking Bread instead of Breaking Bad. They even have the restaurant decorated with a Breaking Bad theme and big Heisenberg sign. Thanks. Yeah, it's 11:07 in Costa Rica. You're in Central. I'm in Western. The next time switches, I will be in Central again. The thing with Costa Rica is we don't have daylight savings time here. You can count every single day of the year that between 5 a.m. and 6 a.m., depending upon what time of the year it is, the sun will come up. Between 5 and 6 p.m., the sun will go down. It's like 12 hours of dark and 12 hours of night. That took a lot. That took a lot to get used to for me because um, I had lived in Louisiana for so many years, but I also lived in Germany and DC, and very used to the long summer time, especially in Germany. The sun would not go back down to like 10:30 at night in midsummer. Yeah, I'm over it too. I don't think it should happen. I think they should just be the time all the time. And that is one of my strays, Pork, who's coming on bed. She's very sweet, very, very sweet little thing. But I don't like her in the house. She's strictly outdoors because she gets into everything. The Stinky does not. So yeah, I'm done with daylight savings time too. It just screws everything up. So now when I have to call the States, I'm sitting here with my phone going, what time is it there? And it gets really confusing in places like parts of Indiana where my husband's family's from, and I'm thinking, oh, they're on Central, they're on Eastern. It's very confusing. No, I'm not ahead. I am back. Costa Rica is actually, like I said, we're on the Pacific. We're way over. I guess we're like south of Mexico and to the west of Mexico, pretty much on top of South America, just Panama between us and South America. And that's another reason that I want COVID to be over, why I'm wearing my mask and doing everything. I want to be able to travel again. I want to be able to drive down to Panama and to Colombia and all the places that I'm missing. I've heard some wonderful things about both places. There are a lot of different things to see and do in South America too. Yeah, that is really right. I'm going to tell you guys a real quick little funny story about daylight savings. I've always had rescue birds when we were in the States. I always had parrots and various things, various little rescues. And no, we're not an island, JC. Tucker Carlson said we were an island. We're not an island. We're connected on the north with Nicaragua and on the south to Panama, and we're way down there. We're close to the equator. So I had this parrot. I had various parrots going in and out of our house for years, but I had this one that had crippled feet that I kept. I didn't try to place her with anybody. A sun conure, very, very beautiful. Hey, Sue. She was very, very beautiful. She was a beautiful golden on top and then going to green and red and lovely blue. But she was a character. One year, daylight savings happened in the spring, it was spring forward. And she used to irk the hell out of us because you could be laying in the bed, okay? Laying in the bed, just waking up. You have your eyes open. You're laying up in the bed with your eyes closed, just barely waking. All of a sudden you hear squawk, 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 squawk. How in the hell did you figure out I was awake? I didn't even move a muscle. She always, she always, 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 always liked to wake everybody up. Hey, GTA. She liked to wake everybody up. So like 5:30 every morning, she would start squawking and carrying on, and I have to go down there and feed her breakfast and pay attention to her. And my kids would grumble and complain. They hated her because she was so loud. She was very loud. Well, one spring forward, we all got up. We all got up and nothing, no squawks, no squeaks, no nothing. Went down in the kitchen to cook breakfast, and my kids could not get over the fact that our parrot Gita was not up. So they started messing with Gita, trying to get her up, trying tapping on her nest box, and it was funny. Eventually, you saw one little eye peek out of the nest hole and look at them like, "Are you guys crazy? I am not getting up this early." And she went right back to bed. We laughed so hard over that. We finally got her back from all the time she woke us up. No squeals, nothing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's Gita. Yeah, we're not too far off, JC. The I guess the Caribbean, you would say. When the people leave Haiti trying to get to somewhere else, sometimes they come here. We're like due west as we up at midnight. Yes. I am not someone that I'm usually in bed by now, but not lately. Ever since I started taking the Lyrica, it has completely reset my body clock. I go to bed late, I get up late. It's really strange. I've never had that experience before, but I'm sort of hyper at nights, and I don't quite get that because I'm not usually that way at all. So, what do you think? Do you think that Katie Joy and her son had COVID in January? Looking at the numbers for her state, 3:15 p.m. Sue. Oh, you're in the best part of the day. Due west of what? That would be a good one. Hey, llama girl. So yeah, she is a snot rag. I gotta agree with you there, Tiny Dancer. I think KJ is a snot rag, is what she said, and I think so too. Sue M, that is my challenge too. Not staying all day on the Twitters. It's just hard. 6:15 a.m. here and still up. Oh wow. Mary Princess, like I said, I'm not really sure. I think there's a possibility that I had it back in early March, late February, but I'm not 100% sure, and there's really no way to check it. So I'm getting vaccinated anyway. I think it's possible, but it's extremely unlikely. Like I said, I spent about an hour this evening going over and looking through the Minnesota when they started even collecting the figures, and it was a little later in the game, protected by being in the middle of the country. Because if you remember, it first hit places like Seattle, um, Los Angeles area, it hit Oregon, it hit Florida, New York, Washington, D.C. It hit those places because those are all places with higher populations where you have a lot of transient people going in and out of countries, in and out of states, traveling. We're traveling folks, I think. Oh, Tiny Dancer, I am sorry to hear that. Have you recovered? Hardly affected you. Yes. That's the thing. When you're younger, it can be a little bit easier to get over it. They did. They got hit really hard in the nursing homes. And that was the big surprise, I think, is how quickly older people with challenges started dying off. That's another reason why I pretty much just stayed inside. And thank God for this, because now I get to talk to people. And so the social part of me gets this. And I think that's another reason why so many people have now taken to to YouTube during the pandemic. Because we're used to community. I mean, we're built for community. We're built to help each other and to be part of each other's days and help. She was not sick in January or February. Llama Girl said, I looked through all of her videos and she was not sick in January, February. She had sniffles at the beginning, but she claimed she could get out of bed, yet didn't miss a day of uploading or lives. Yes, girl. I think that's exactly the truth of the matter. I looked at the numbers. I didn't even bother to go look at her videos because I knew everybody else was going to do that. Diagnosed with cancer at the start of COVID. Susan, how did you deal with that? I have heard so many of my friends have said that it delayed them getting treatments for various things, including cancer. I stayed away from my doctor's office mostly. I didn't go in except for med refills and general checkups because of this thing. and stayed in my car until they called me back in. It was a mess here. They've had good protocols for the most part, I've got to say. And Costa Rica did something a little bit different than the US. They set up official COVID hospitals. And if you were hospitalized, that's where you went. You didn't go anywhere else. And if you had COVID, at least the first 3 months or so, the health department came in and diagnosed you, ran the test, gave you the meds, and told you what to do. No delays. That's awesome, Susan. That is awesome. And you have my sympathies. I've been through chemo myself. It's no walk in the park. I don't. Um, yeah, and I stayed home too because with my mast cell, I didn't want to risk it. We just went shopping once in a great while, and I discovered that Walmart um, will bring it out to you in the parking lot. And so will Costco here. Costco, Price Smart. We go there a fair amount. They'll bring it out. But 60 of us sick. That's really sad. If KJ had COVID and couldn't hold her phone, she wouldn't have made she would have made a toddler hold the phone above her and post it so she could show people how sick she was and get sympathy. I think that's really the truth of the matter. You know, she would not miss an opportunity to sad fish. I hate to even use that silly term, sad fish. But we all know she loves her sad fishing, and she loves it because she can ask for money. And we know that is really her number one goal with YouTube. She wants the dough. And I think it's great she's been able to support her family. But at the same time, I'm the opinion that Todd should be working. And I don't mean working for her, he should be out there. Vodka with COVID. Blessings to my dad for the bottle. Wow. Tiny Dancer. Some of the medications I take to control my asthma apparently prevent COVID now, they think. And so they're looking at all these asthmatic meds and saying, why are asthmatics? Because I was reading that asthmatics as a group have not had this in the record numbers that other ailments have. And they wonder if it's the daily treatments that people take that holds it at bay. And I would say I would not doubt it one bit. I would not doubt it. Long COVID. That is very disgusting that she's trying to get attention and sympathy for long COVID. She's shown no symptoms of long COVID. Hair falling out and your hair turning gray is not COVID. Southbow, that's just silly that she's doing that. Just really silly. The people I know with long COVID are waiting for heart transplants. They're having significant stuff that would have stopped them from posting on the internet all the time. They wouldn't be making videos. Yeah, Llama Girl, they're investigating that now. I saw it and I just laughed. I said, for once, there's a benefit of having asthma, one of the few. So there's that. You remember at first when they were trying to get us all to take hydroxychloroquine? They gave me a packet of that when they thought I had it in March, and I just tossed it. I had read too many things about side effects. I wasn't about to take it. Bean Boozled Challenge means twisted my taste buds longer than COVID did. Well, that's good, Tiny Dancer, that you didn't have that. Yeah, I would not be shocked by literally anything she does. You know, I passed that a long time ago. When this lawsuit happened and she just started saying the most bizarre things, and her lawyer kept coming out with these crazy declarations and accusations and stuff, I was like, we are off the map. We are off the map to crazy town. I would put nothing past her at this point. Yeah, they're having trouble getting out of bed. They're having significant. Llama Girl, I did hear about the MMR being the reason kids didn't really suffer. And that might be a saving grace for me. Because of mast cell, they've made me revaccinate with all my childhood vaccinations way more than once, including MMR. I think I've had it like 4 times, because what they were doing at Hopkins, they were testing titer levels on me because I had come down with whooping cough, which I'd been vaccinated against years and years ago and had a booster, and I still got it. And they wanted to figure out why. Well, my titers were low, so I had to go ahead and get revaccinated for every childhood vaccination, which is not terribly uncommon if you have some immune system disorder that you may need to get it again. Measles, mumps, and rubella. That's what an MMR shot is. Now, I did not react to that. The only vaccine I've ever had that I reacted negatively to was that first shingles one. What was one of the early shingles ones? Supposedly now they have a better one, but I'm not willing to get it. I stopped having shingles after the one shot, so I'm not going to go back and get that one. So there we go with it. And here's the funny thing about it. I had measles as a kid. I'm old enough where I was on the tail end of where they didn't always vaccinate for all these things, like measles. I had measles and I had mumps. And I remember how sick I got. Now, here's the comedy of that. When I was 30, guess what I got for my 30th birthday? Chicken pox. I'm not kidding. My 30th birthday, my teenage daughter and my son, my toddler son, both got it and had varying degrees of it. I woke up on the morning of my 30th birthday and I had it. And I hadn't even thought about it. I'd not had it as a child. And I'd never been exposed to it, apparently. I didn't know. I mean, you don't know those things until they happen. But let me tell you, that was miserable. And then I started getting shingles later. Green card, yes, 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 because you didn't have it as a child. I don't think she will, Tiny Dancer. I think right now what's going on is I think the impression I get by just some of the things that have happened recently, like Salty saying that KJ was cooperating fully with him, well, with the FBI, and had proven that she wasn't behind the hackers. That and a few other things have led me to believe that there is a settlement in the works, that they're going to settle this out of court, which they probably should have done in the first place. But then again, she shouldn't have ignored all 4 of those cease and desists. Oh, I am so sorry, Kentucky girl. Your hair fell out too? I am sorry. I don't think that's why KJ's is falling out. I think it's all those tight little bands she wears that's pulling her hair. And South Bug, that happened to me when I got shingles. Headache so bad it felt like my brain was trying to escape my head with a brick. Yeah, who ignores for cease and desist? Nobody. Nobody would ignore that many. And I want to know, I keep hearing this rumor by a supposed Duggar insider that said it on one of, I think it was Leslie Bass's live streams, that the Duggars had sent 2 cease and desist to her. I don't know how true that is, because that's one thing I do know with her is that besides ignoring the cease and desist, the Duggars are her bread and butter. I mean, she's never going to stop talking about them. It's kind of sad because a lot of things she talks about them are pretty ridiculous. And at one point, we both did had unknown Duggar insiders that were telling us stuff. But the line comes where you have to look at those things and see if you can verify them before you can write a huge article, or if you use them at all, you're going to have to put an unnamed Duggar insider. This could be gossip. And for every, yes, and that's probably true, but for every Duggar rumor that I used on NLQ, for every Duggar thing, I probably turned down 20 to 30 others. I did not report on all the babies because it was just, we know the Duggars believe in militant fecundity. They are going to have babies left, right, sideways, upside down, human Pez dispensers. Tiny Dancer, I'm on the fence with Leslie. Part of me is horrified about what happened with the what was her name? Lorianne Barnhart interview. But part of me was thinking, Leslie's a Louisiana girl. She was sitting back trying to be nice by letting her have her say. So I really cannot believe that. I don't know what to think. I guess I'm going to have to wait and see what happens with Leslie. She's still talking about the show fields. You were right, JC. I can't believe she still is either. Llama girl, yeah, same here. I'm high risk. That's why I've tried when I was in Louisiana to get it so hard, so bad. I tried to get it. And Kentucky girl, I'm sorry you've got all those diagnoses. This is no fun. A chronic ailment is not fun. I can't imagine it would be fun with COVID either. It'd be terrible. Oh, for 40 hours with a racial slur. Yeah, that's so. That's another thing. I had some problems with that one too, because you just don't say those things, not even in jest anymore. You just can't. I mean, we've all moved on. We don't say those things. It's like the R word. You can't say the R word retarded anymore. And it's bad for me because I was one of those people that say, well, that's the most retarded thing I've ever heard. I have had to completely retool my speech since then. Because when I'm saying that, it wasn't me comparing people to people with intellectual disabilities at all. That was just me saying it as this all-purpose thing, but it's still wrong. And I was corrected on that. I took the correction and said, I'm not going to say that anymore. And I've been very careful. You helped her during the Katie Joy shit? I know Katie Joy was going after Leslie really, really hard. Oh, were you? Wow, that must have been an experience. Llama Girl is good. You're getting your second one. Everybody tells me the second one is the one that's most likely to make you feel a little not so good for a day or two. So be prepared. Have your Tylenol ready, or if you're in the UK, do you have Panadol there, or is it called something else? Because here I had to remember the Tylenol here is called Panadol. That was one of those things I had to make the switch. Oh, Tiny Dancer, she tried to do that. That is not good. Not good. That's not good. I know that she liked to do mass flaggings, and more mods are coming out and saying that she's done that she's wanted to have mass flaggings. That's really a shame. Nobody should mass flag. I don't even see mass flagging that poor little, what was it, Miss Ashy Cat, who does the tarot, and you can see on her live streams that she's too stoned to keep her eyes open. She's nodded off more than once on live streams, which I don't get, getting that high and then going on a live stream. That's when you go lay down. That's when you go lay down. I mean, that's not when you turn on your live streams. And I understand that that a lot of people, they like to live stream every aspect of their day. I'm thinking of you, truthfully, Trish, who I first saw on Dr. Phil and thought that was the sickest thing I'd ever seen. She live streamed for hours and hours, pretended to have anaphylaxis, all kinds of silly things. Oh, Tiny Dancer. So you've been out longer than I've been out from the Katie cult. I was only Katie cult adjacent. I listened to her complain about everybody every now and then and kind of shrugged my shoulders and went on and didn't really believe the stuff that people were that she was saying about people attacking her. She was constantly telling me about some guy named Steve that we all know as Steve McRae and how horrible he was to her and how he was giving her death threats and all sorts of crazy things that I know now probably didn't. Yeah, people shouldn't get high in a live stream. Oh, people probably should not. So, anyway, and people shouldn't be boozing it up either in live streaming. If you get sloppy drunk, you really shouldn't do that. Part of me is starting to wonder at what point law enforcement is going to start looking at these live streams again. Yeah, we got this person in our precinct that's smoking up. Like I see, I hate to even mention his name, BX Beast Boy with his little grinder doing his grind, blowing out smoke, talking about smoking weed. I hope that boy is in a man, excuse me, is in a state where it's legal because I would hate to see him get busted for smoking dope on camera. That would be bad. As you booze it up. Oh, so yeah. So yeah, I wasn't really in the cult either. I was kind of off to the side. I didn't pay much mind to her because I was busy with my own thing. But after she did all that to me, I was just done. I I came to the other side where everybody has cookies and we have a lot more fun. Yeah, that's a problematic one. I mean, when you run into someone you like that becomes problematic on YouTube, what can you do but unsubscribe? I was subscribed to BX Beast Boy. I liked him a lot. Not anymore. And today I had to laugh because Real Entertainment News had contacted me and wanted to do a live stream with me, and we had gone back and forth. And I'd said, well, there has to be these ground rules. This is my these are my boundaries. It's basically what I said. And anyway, I said, these are my boundaries. He came back and said, wow, you must not think very highly of me. And I had to come back with, well, it's not that I don't think highly of you. I just like everything to be on the table. I like everybody to know where I'm coming from. I don't really want to have to put up with the things that I'm talking about. And I never heard from him again. Well, I have been going back and forth and watching him. Today he said something that was incredibly offensive, and I don't know how a woman could ever support him again. He was talking this week, he's been all about Caucasian women, white women. He's a black male creator. If you didn't know, he's an African American man. So he's going after all these quote Caucasians. And what was really funny and horrible at the same time is he started talking about putting women in their place. When he said that he had to put these women in their place, I just about fell off my chair. You don't say that. That's one of those harmful, awful things that patriarchs say, the Christian patriarchs say. Woman, get in your place. I'm going to put you in your place. Your place is below me. That was how it struck with me. After hearing him say that, I would never in a million years and appear with somebody that believes that women had to be put in their place. That's just wrong on every label. Well, that's crazy that they came right out to you and gave you your shot. That really is awesome. I wish they would do that here in Costa Rica. They're still vaccinating citizens, so those of us that are expats here are going to have to wait, or we got to go back to the States. Now that they're lifting the ban on the Johnson & Johnson, the next time I'm in the States, if I don't get one here, I'll get it. because nobody knows for sure what's going to happen here with anything. They change the rules all the time. This week, they put in place restrictions on driving, nighttime restrictions. There's restrictions on driving on the weekends in an attempt to keep people from gathering and spreading this thing even more. Oh, that would really blow his mind. That would blow his mind, Tiny Dancer. You know that BX Beast Boy could not handle that. He'd flow. His head would go. Poof. He thinks that in his world, lesbians don't exist either. I think it's so funny about how we come up with these ideas about what other sexes, other races are like, and we're pretty locked into them. I'm watching the fight right now in the atheist community over Richard Dawkins and the transgendered question. He said some pretty horrible things. Him, J.K. Rowling, a bunch of other people. And you'd think that somebody who was open enough to be in the atheist community would be open enough to say that people could have whatever their own sexuality was. They could decide for themselves. Exactly. Men, Southbug said, every man I've ever known who puts a woman in her place also degrades, beats, stalks, etc. I would agree with that. Men who say that have no respect for women or liking for women. They're always going to be abusive in some way, shape, or form. It may not be physically abusive, it may be emotionally abusive, but that is such an abusive term to even say. I would not trust. I haven't, Suim, I haven't actually had a chance to go back and read all that. I've just wanted, I've really, like I said, today I was looking at the whole thing with the COVID rates in Minnesota. I go off on these weird tangents like that. And I got an idea for a book. So I sat down and was writing out a whole long thing and in a notebook about that and lining that up. And those men, the same men who think I'm bi for threesomes, that is really disgusting when you run across men like that. God knows I've ran across a few of those. They've been around for years. One of their favorite things to do to even their straight girlfriends and say, hey, let's have a three-way. No. If I want to do that, I'll do that, but I'm not going to, and I'm not going to add you to it. I know South. I grew up in South Louisiana. I saw that all the time. And the real irony for me is, I don't know if you guys have seen the movie The Help. I went and see it with one of my friends who's about my age. We both grew up in that culture. And that was our time frame. Those ladies at lunch and all that, that was kind of my there was a lot of that was in my life. My father was a bank president. My mother didn't work for many years, and they just did the ladies at lunch thing and all of that. And we had a black maid. My father had a driver for a while. We had a gardener. And like the little girl, those were the people I was around all the time that I actually had a relationship with, who taught me love that my own mother could not show me because she was too busy hiding in her bedroom. My mother is a wonderful person in many ways, but she has had a lot of issues through the years with being raised in a very patriarchal, abusive, Catholic, quiverful household. 7 seconds. Yeah. Police corruption. Yeah. I'm going to have to take a look at that, Sue M. This week, I've fallen down the live PD hole, live police department. It was a show that had just started right before I came to Costa Rica, and I hadn't seen much of. This week, I've watched every clip of it I could find on YouTube. curious about the state of policing in the country and some of the techniques they're using. I didn't know they were doing some of these things, like putting the cuffs on people when they're just talking to them, detaining them without charging them. Seems like it would be a violation of some rights, but after I watched for a while, I started to get the idea that they do that to avoid violence and avoid scenes later. It's not pleasant for anybody, but I think it's what they're going to have to. I think they're doing that for their own safety. Thanks, Tiny Dancer. Sue, it's that way for me too. And I know when I say offensive things and someone calls me on it, though, I try to apologize right away because um, you learn from everything in your life. You learn from other people, you learn from your experiences. I'm not 100% right. I'm not Katie Joy. I'm not 100% right. And I know I'm not 100% right all the time. Sometimes I have to be corrected. This week I had to go through that with our gardeners who were telling me my little square foot gardening frame that I had started gardening at the wrong time of the year. Well, I don't know. It's hot here year round. I just assumed I could garden year round. Apparently, I cannot grow vegetables year round here. I'm going to have to watch that, Sue M. I'm going to have to look that up. 7 seconds. It sounds good. And I'm always looking for good stuff to see on Netflix and Hulu and all those channels. Who's excited for the return of The Handmaid's Tale? I'm excited. It's coming back. I can't hardly watch it. It's so abusive at times, but it's always good. Always. I was trying to get Eastbound and Down to watch because I only recently discovered when I started watching The Righteous Gemstones how incredibly fun it was. And my daughter said, well, you have to watch Vice Principals. So I did. And I didn't know that the guy who wrote all of those shows and acted in them, I had not really paid much attention to him. But then I started reading about him and I realized something, a weird little connection. He went to a church that was connected to the crazy Quiverful church I went to. He went to one in Fredericksburg and I went to one out where I was in BFE. And I figured it out because he started talking about the puppet ministry. And I remember members of our church going to his church to learn the puppet ministry. So I started saying, that is why the Righteous Gemstones feel so real and why a couple of those stories I have heard before in the church world of our little church throughout Virginia. Some of those things actually happened. Oh, original. Yeah, I have. Good but disturbing. You're right, South Book. I watched that. It came out way after I read the book the first time. I've reread the book a couple of times. And when the first time I read it, I thought, this will never happen in America. But here's the scary thing. You could almost see this happening. If Mike Pence had been president, we might have been in a Handmaid's Tale sort of world. We might have ended up there. It was a pretty awful thought to think we might end up in the world of Mike Pence with zero birth control and zero rights, because that's really what a lot of the evangelicals want to return us to. They want to return us to a time when women were home all the time and had large families and smiled and did everything for the man. And the man just had to go to work and come back, and that was it. And that's no way to live. That's no way for anybody to live. I think I have, but it's been a while. I'm going to have to look that one up, Llama Girl. I'm not sure. I've seen Run. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Welcome to the Dollhouse. The little girl who plays Dawn Wiener, when I see that, I think about what it must have been like for KJ as a child. And I suspect she had that kind of experience. That's poor Dawn Wiener. I'm going to have to look all of those up. So anyway, it's been more than an hour and I'm running out of gas. I'm running out of breath. So I'm going to have to go ahead and go, but I really wanted to come on here and talk about the unlikelihood of her having had COVID in January. Welcome to the Dollhouse. It's a disturbing and depressing movie, JC. Very disturbing. But it shows the life of a little girl in middle school who's pretty much the school nerd that everybody picks on. It's bad. Shows a very disturbing picture. Yes. Not the series, but the movie. Okay, I'll see you guys later. I got to take a shower and go to bed. It's late.